This is Cheryl Todd of Gun Freedom Radio.
And I'm the other guy, Dan Todd, reminding you that we and the show you are listening to are proud members of the Self-Defense Radio Network.
Find out more and check out all of the other great shows and content at selfdefenseradio.net.
Welcome to Unload and Show Clear, the podcast about all things IDPA. And now, here's your host, a man for whom getting stuck in traffic was the only thing worse than sticking around for day one of nationals, Lloyd Bailey.
Welcome to another episode of Unload and Show Clear. This is a podcast about the men and women who compete in IDPA, International Defensive Pistol Association. Now, I've been attending IDPA matches since 2011, and over the years, I've met some really amazing people thanks to this sport. Ignore all the colorful jerseys and the sponsor logos, and underneath you're going to find everyday men and women who volunteer their time and their effort and spend their hard-earned dollars on travel, match fees, and gear to make this sport great. And today you're going to meet another one of these awesome people. But first, I want to thank today's sponsor. All right, before we get started, I want to tell you about GlockTriggers.com. Recently, at a sanctioned IDPA match, I went to the line, I went to load and make ready, and the little dingus thing flew out of my trigger. Just completely flew out of the gun. So I had to scramble and shoot the stage with a backup gun. So now I'm in the market for a new trigger. And guess what I found? GlockTriggers.com. Love them or hate them, the one thing that you know about Glock pistols is their reliability. They're out of the box, to the range, to the match, absolutely reliable. And it's what makes them popular with competitors like myself, law enforcement, military, and responsible citizens. But the one drawback is that stock trigger. Well, Jeff Wilson and the people at Glock Triggers, they asked themselves, how can we make this better? But how can we do it while maintaining reliability? Using stock parts as their foundation, they refine the interaction of the metal parts in the trigger kit to give you smoother take-up, a cleaner break, and reduced over-travel without sacrificing safety or reliability. That's important. Recommended and used by people like Bob Vogel, Travis Haley, and Ken Hackathorn, Glock Triggers custom trigger kits come with a lifetime warranty and a 30-day satisfaction guarantee. Check out the Edge, the Vogel, the Skimmer, the Guardian, or the Hackathorn trigger system and use the promo code from this podcast, USC20, and save 20% off your entire order. GlockTriggers.com, the highest quality drop-in trigger system for your Glock. Our special guest today is Dede Carter from Saltillo, Mississippi. Dede, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, tell us a little about yourself. Tell us what you do for a living there in Saltillo.
Well, I had a big career change 2 years ago. Historically, I've always been in the clerical end of things, in administration, was an office manager. 2 years ago, I became a certified personal trainer. So I left the hospital, and I'm a personal trainer. I'm the person that tells you, what to lift and what to do, and don't give up now, keep on going. Yeah. Well, one of my clients, she says, I just don't like you right now. This is a real love-hate relationship. I said, I completely understand. So, yeah. I split my time between being a personal trainer. We have twin grandbabies that are going to be 2 in March. And then Nikki and I have Ridge Crossing Shooting Club here on our place. And so I just kind of, general flunky, I guess, would be my best title.
I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. General Flunky from Saltillo, Mississippi.
Whatever Nikki says, and I just say, how high should I jump?
Well, we were talking before we started recording, talking about where you grew up. You started out in North Carolina. Your formative years, as you call them, were in southern Georgia and in Mississippi. did you grow up around? How were you introduced to guns? Were you introduced to them as a child, or is it something that you as you grew up or was it after you met Nikki?
Well, growing up, there were family members that I would see with their firearms. It was mostly hunting and all, but I never got that opportunity. But while I was living in Georgia, I had the wonderful opportunity to go to a high school that had ROTC. And so I joined ROTC in 1973. They really weren't prepared for females. They really didn't know what to do. There were only about 5 of us in the battalion, but I had that opportunity for 3 years to be in that unit and loved every minute of it. And we had our own firing range on school premises, and of course part of the program was marksmanship.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had the opportunity. We shot 22 rifles. I can't remember what they were, but I do remember they were 22s, and really enjoyed that. So that was pretty much most of the big introduction. And then later, through Nikki mentioned our martial arts, we trained with empty hands and with practical and just anything you could pretty much lay your hands on as a means to protect yourself, and that included firearms. And our instructor sparked another interest, and he would hold kind of fun matches at his place, and we would go up there, and it really sparked a huge interest for us. And we thought, hey, we have property here, right here behind the house. And Nicky went down the hill and got out with his tractor and his blade, and next thing I know, there's this big blank spot at the bottom of the hill next to our little dried up pond. So we had 2 places that we used for matches, and thankfully the bishops came along. They used they're the Blind Hog bunch is their nicknames. They came along and took us under their wings and have mentored us over the years. And Keith, the younger of the brothers, is still with us actively, and he and I work together a lot as SOs. But that's pretty much my gun story there. I started out with just kind of a fun outlaw thing to blend in with my martial arts training, and then it just led us to IDPA.
Do you remember the first organized local match, a club match, not just the ones where you went to the friend's property or out behind your house? Do you remember that first organized match and what that was like?
Yes. This one was not IDPA. This one was in Glen, Mississippi, up above Corinth. And they were at that time IDPA, but they happened to be having an IPSC match. So we went up there, and I kept looking around. There were no other women. Well, that doesn't bother me. I'll just as soon hang with a bunch of men as anybody. Right. And they started getting geared up and getting ready, and they were jihawing and doing their smack talking and all. Well, I get my bag out and I start gearing up, and one of the guys turns around and looks at me like, "What are you doing?" And I looked over and I said, "Honey, I came to play. I didn't come to watch." And had the best time. They were, they just kind of laughed. Okay, and they were so wonderful. It was a lot of fun. I knew I needed a lot of work, but I had so much adrenaline, it took me till about midnight to come down enough to go to sleep that night.
So you were hooked.
I was hooked. And then we formed our club here, at the house, Ridge Crossing. And as I mentioned earlier, under the guise of Tim and Keith Bishop and Joe Diggs, they got us on the IDPA road, and it's been that ever since.
What is Ridge Crossing like now? How much has it changed since the day that Nikki went out there and scraped up a bare patch behind the house? How much is?
Oh my God, I came across some old pictures the other day, and I looked and I thought, oh gosh, that is so pitiful. I can't believe that. Oh my gosh, that is so awful. But we've come from this one huge area, which is now Bay 3, and that, like I mentioned, that dry pond. We have 5 pistol bays, a rifle area, and about $10,000 worth of gravel later. We have electricity and car sheds, and I'll walk to the peak of the hill that where the backyard breaks and the driveway down to the range starts, and just kind of look at it and go, I can't believe it. 12 years later. But thank goodness that we were able to move on, because oh my gosh, we hauled carpet because it's lime. When it's wet, it's slick, and then when it's starting to dry, it's really, really sticky, and you can't get it off of anything. And I was so thankful when that last piece of carpet was burnt, because we finally had enough gravel that we could stay out of the mud. So we've come a long, long way since '07.
Oh my goodness! So how long after that the first local match? How long after that before you guys went out and shot? I think Nikki told me that you guys shot your first sanctioned match was in Tennessee. Is that right?
Yes. Oh, we just dove off into the deep end. In August of '07, after we had joined up in the spring, to Paris, Tennessee. And we were green. We had no idea what we were getting into. Went up there with, just stars in our eyes and just not knowing what on earth we were doing, and just had the best time. And it was great. We got up there, and it just, I thought I was in the middle of Disney World. I mean, it was wonderful.
Nikki shared a funny story from a match in Paris. Do you have anything similar to that? Have you got your own sanctioned match story?
I do, and it's at Paris too. God bless them. That one year they had this swinging bridge, and you had to go from one end of that swinging bridge to the other and engage these dog targets. Well, the thing was to not fall off of this swinging bridge. And I didn't know at the time what was going on. I saw the video later, and that's what made it so comical to me. There were 2 men behind me, and right before we got started, I turned around, and I'm not bashful. I said, boys, let me just tell you something. I don't care where you grab me, just don't let me hit that ground. And so I turned back around, and I'm ready to shoot. I'm ready to go. And the whole time, these 2 guys are running along behind me, flapping their arms. They look like 2 ducks, trying to figure out, oh my God, where are we going to put our hands? Oh, no, we can't do that, and trying to figure out where on earth they were going to grab me when I fell. And I mean, and it is so funny. I'm not thinking, I really wish I had submitted it to that TV show. We could have won that $10,000. But yeah, that's probably one of my favorites and most comical is those boys up at Tennessee trying to figure out where on earth they were going to catch me.
So how did you and Nikki both became safety officers so you could help out with matches?
We did.
And I ran into you guys for the first time at the Mississippi Showdown in Como, I think in 2015. How did you get started SOing major matches? What was instead of just helping out at the local club? What made you want to get out and help at those bigger matches? 'Cause that's a lot of work.
Well, it is, but it's fun. It gives you opportunity to meet more people, but it's just our nature that we're just not content to just kind of to be in just, I guess, the masses, for lack of a better term, but just to jump in and lend a hand and hey, what can I do to help things move along? And so we became safety officers as soon as we'd met the membership requirements. And our first sanctioned match that we worked was the Mississippi State match at Glen in 2007. And of course, since we were just brand spanking new, we of course couldn't run a timer at a big match yet. So we were paired up with experienced SOs and as their scorekeepers and reset, and that's how we spent the day. And that got us started. And we had the Mississippi State match here the next year in '08 and had it for consecutive 6 years here at our home range.
Oh, okay.
But we just kind of started branching out. People got to know us, and next thing I know, people are asking us, to would we, come and help work their matches. We spent a good bit of time going over to Casa. They lost their scoring team due to illness, and asked us would we come over and do their stats. So Jessica and I were in the stat shack, and Nikki was outside running a stage, and that was really hard for me because I could hear everything that was going on, and I'm thinking, oh, and I'm in here
You
on the
wanted to be out there.
keyboard. Oh man, it's just like, I want to be out there in the action and where it's all going on. And so Jessica decided she could run the stats. Our other daughter Crystal came on board with her, so she shoots a camera, Jessica shoots a gun, so it was a good thing. So they would run the stat shack, and that freed me up. And Nikki and I, got to be partners. So much so that at one of the matches, a shooter came up and said, "Are you guys professional SOs? Because everywhere I go to a match, you're working. Do y'all do this for a living?" And we said, "Well, we feel like it sometimes, but no,
Oh yeah, all those fringe benefits from
Oh
working
man,
matches.
I tell you, that's how we vacation is we go SO a match,
Right.
and
And it's
but
a family affair for you guys. You like you
it
mentioned, you bring
is.
the two daughters with you, and the first time I met you guys, it was the only, or maybe the first all female SO stage I've ever seen.
Yeah, somebody remarked that, and I said, and when I heard that statement. I thought, well, that is kind of unusual. Oh, because it's always been either two guys, three guys, or whatever, or it's co-ed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we did that over there at Mississippi at Como.
So getting back to you as a shooter,
Yeah.
what is fun for you when you're not having to worry about SOing a stage and you just get out and you're focusing on shooting? What kind of stages do you like to shoot? What kind of what do you like? Lots of movement? Do you like lots of movers? Moving targets? Do you like really technical stages where you have to plan things out? Do you like the sort of run and gun up close and personal stuff? What excites you when you get on the range and you look over the stages?
I like the movement and stalking through the course of fire. Especially like house stages.
Right.
Where it's maybe it's a house break-in kind of thing, and movers. As in the targets, I'm not especially fond of because I can't hit diddly squat if they're moving. Oh, so I enjoy me doing the moving. because I end up doing a lot of talking if they're doing a whole lot of move. I talk anyway. I've
Oh,
discovered, because when I start missing, I start talking to the target. I start talking to the gun, the bullets, myself. It gets to be a full blown conversation out there. So,
I bet your match videos are fun.
I tell you, I have threatened to get duct tape out just to keep my mouth shut. Just like shut up and shoot.
What division do you currently compete in? What do you like the most, and what guns are you shooting with nowadays?
I'm a marksman. And I guess I'm going to be a career marksman, but that's okay because I'm having a
Nothing
good
wrong with
time.
that.
Nothing wrong with that. I'm having fun, and that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I favor the Glocks. Started out with the Glock 23 early on, and figured out that was not what I needed to be doing.
Ooh.
And then for economics, we all changed over to nines because you have
Mm-hmm.
three of them shooting, and Nikki's reloading for three. Uh, I changed over to a Glock 17 and shot it exclusively for, oh gosh, I guess probably 10 years. I played with a Kimber 1911 for a little while, and I shoot Division, SSP, and ESP. I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to step over into CCP a little bit this year. So, and I'll be shooting a 1911 style with it. I'll step back and forth between the two, but most of my experiences with Glock, I do enjoy it. I can testify to the fact that you can drop them in the mud and the water, pick them up, and just keep on going. Didn't mean to, but it's just things happen, and you just keep on going.
Unless you're at a major match,
Yeah,
then
unless
you
you're in a
don't.
major.
Then you
No,
don't get to keep on going.
yeah. Well, the when I didn't actually drop my gun during the course of fire. It was at the end of a course of fire, and I was down on my knees. I was next to a barrel, and I thought, okay, rather than reholster here, I told the safety officer, I'm going to put my gun on the barrel right here, and then I'll stand up and reholster, not knowing that half the top of that barrel was gone. And when I let loose of the gun, the next thing
Oh,
I heard was a kerchug in about 3 feet of water.
oh, even worse. So not
Oh
only did
my!
you get DQ'd, but you dunked the gun.
Dumped it. Oh man! And of course, Nikki said you could hear me scream for a mile. And dumped the barrel out, got my gun out, and went to the back of the berm, shook it really good, racked it a few times, and put it back in the holster, and that was it. But I mean, it never missed a lick. When I did get to when I did get to shoot again.
That's a first. I have not.
Yeah,
I love that.
make sure all your barrels have their whole tops
Yeah,
on them,
just in case.
just in case.
Now, you've probably heard this question on the podcast before, and I always ask it, and more often I'm getting answers that are interesting. But when I first
Hmm.
started out, it was like 50-50.
Yeah.
Besides the usual stuff that basically everybody takes to the range, right? The gun, the
Hmm.
holster, mag carriers, and all that stuff. Is there anything that you absolutely make sure that you put in the range bag before you go to a major match, and why?
Oh yeah. Chewing gum, ponytail holders, and peanut butter, and several boxes of raisins. One, I can't shoot if I'm not chewing gum. And I
Does
and
that
I
keep you
hope.
from talking?
Well, that's what I was gonna say. That's part of the thing, and I just shove the gum over to the side of my mouth and keep talking anyway. And ponytail holders, cause you've seen my hair. It just I got to keep it out of the way, so I throw it back into a ponytail. And then the peanut butter and the raisins and all this because I eat all the time too.
Okay.
Uh,
Wasn't sure if there was a hypoglycemic kind of thing going on, or
well, yeah, that, but yeah, I love to eat, so I keep it handy. And and people don't generally want to eat that. Even though they think peanut butter is bad for you, it's actually healthy for you. So I'm always eating the healthy stuff, and that way nobody's digging in my food. So, well, I have peanut
Right.
butter. I have raisins.
No,
No, we're good. No
no,
thanks.
thanks. So as we wrap this up, the final question, it's coming. What is it through all these years? You guys have been doing this for over 12 years now. What is it about IDPA that keeps you doing it, and doing it not just going to matches, but traveling around 6-7 matches a year and SOing for other people and running your own matches locally and scraping up your backyard to build a range? You guys have really gone all in. What is it about IDPA that you love so much?
Oh my gosh, the whole ball of wax of what everything about IDPA is. First off, the people. And you and I have already discussed that. It gets to be like a family setting. I'm so thankful for all the folks that I've met over the years. We know people from coast to coast, and are so thankful for all those wonderful friendships. And Nikki and I and Jessica were all very self-defense oriented. We all three with our martial arts backgrounds, we take it very seriously. And if you have a skill and you don't use it, you certainly do lose it. And the world is not the Mayberry RFD that environment that I grew up in the being a kid of the 70s. I want to keep my skills sharp, but I guess mostly it's everybody that I've met, developed relationships with, that I'm so very thankful for, and getting to see them. And IDPA is the avenue that opens those doors for me to reach out and have those people in my life, and those friendships and relationships.
Very good. It is like a big family reunion. I joke that it's a family reunion with occasional little
There you go. and gunpowder. I love the smell of gunpowder.
little cordite, a little Southern comfort food, and you're all good.
There you go.
Well, Dede, thank you so much for doing this. I really do appreciate you taking the time to join us, and I'm looking forward to seeing you and Nikki at a match in the future.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you again for doing all these. You just add so much to this whole circle that is IDPA.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. All right, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank our guest for coming on the show, and our sponsors for making all of this possible. Take a moment, if you would, to check out the website, check out our show notes at unloadpodcast.com. We've got lots of interviews with more amazing guests like the one you heard today. Join our Facebook group at unloadpodcast.com/Facebook for all the latest updates and to connect with other fans of the show. And if you'd like to support the show, we sure would appreciate it. Consider becoming a patron at unloadpodcast.com/extra. I've got some full-length interviews and special content available there exclusively for patrons as well. And if you know somebody, or you yourself would make an interesting guest for a future episode of Unload and Show Clear, please contact me at lloyd@unloadpodcast.com, or click on the contact page on the website and send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. Tune in again next time for another episode of Unload and Show Clear.